Hello and welcome to Take 5 with Automation World. I'm David Miller, Senior Technical Writer for Automation World. Today I want to talk about retrofits, and more specifically, when it is and isn't a good idea to choose to engage in a retrofit. So first and foremost, I want to clarify what I mean when I say retrofit. What I'm referring to is the upgrading of old equipment with new intelligent sensors or other more advanced components in order to imbue them with improved functionality that you might not otherwise have without purchasing an entirely new machine. Now, retrofits have become increasingly common in recent years, and this is for a few reasons. First of all, one of the main reasons that Industry 4.0 investments often aren't made is because of the high upfront costs they involve and their slow return on investment. Of course, that's only when done wholesale, that is, by replacing entire pieces of machinery all at once. By contrast, a retrofit can allow end users to make small, inexpensive upgrades to pre-existing equipment that allow them to dip their toe in the pool, get familiar with the technology, and receive small returns much faster. And oftentimes through this process of incremental automation, what begins with that retrofitting actually evolves into a bigger transformation. So all of this said, it's not always entirely clear when a retrofit is appropriate, and if it is, what type of retrofit should be pursued. So on this topic, every expert I've ever spoken to has told me that it's a matter of selecting a very narrow goal, a place you want to go, and then assessing where you are now and what information you need to get to move away from it. Then you can conduct a cost-benefit analysis and decide if the retrofit is the best pathway forward. So one example of a situation where a retrofit might not be a good idea. Imagine a glass manufacturer that's looking to measure the amount of materials being processed to improve throughput, and of course by extension their bottom line. So retrofitting machinery with sensors to track this might seem like a no-brainer. However, if on closer examination one were to find that a much easier way to improve the bottom line would be to simply monitor environmental conditions, then this would not be a good retrofit. And that's simply because it's a matter of opportunity cost. While doing it might save money, doing something else would be easier and save more or just as much. Another example of a situation wherein a retrofit could be difficult or unwieldy is one where you're facing technological barriers. For example, if you had an older machine running on a proprietary system and wanted to pull data out of it. Many of these older machines can only display data, as our viewers certainly know, through their onboard HMIs. And to change that, you would need to build a custom connector and interface, which, while possible, might frankly be more trouble than it's worth. And once again, in that situation, we see that a careful cost-benefit analysis is required. But what about a retrofit that would be a good idea? So first of all, as previously mentioned, any retrofit where new sensors are addended to the machine could potentially be useful, so long as it's found to be advantageous in the net after that cost-benefit analysis is performed. But there are actually some other more specific examples that are good, and the one in particular I want to hone in on pertains to cybersecurity. So one common cybersecurity retrofit is attaching a common industrial protocol, or CIP, security proxy to a device. Just to provide a little bit of background, CIP security is just a system that verifies communication between devices on a network by requesting a special security certificate that must be embedded into the device by the vendor, making it nearly impossible to spoof. The problem is, of course, that many older devices may not have this embedded in their firmware since they were not being sold or produced at a time when cybersecurity was the same concern it is now. So these proxies can just be attached to those older devices, and they can provide them with that security certificate. And this is, of course, a unique example because there might not be any other way to achieve that outside of buying that equipment, unless you were to buy a totally new machine. So anyway, those are some examples, and that's about all I have for you today, rather. But if you enjoyed this video, please do keep your eye on this space for more to come in the days ahead.